I wanted to do a real quick thought experiment. Using the Dunbar number, the limit of how many people we can really know or even recognize. The Dunbar number was developed in 1990 by Robin Dunbar, and it ranges from what your own core personal group of friends, around the size it's going to be, which he estimated around 5 for your particularly close, just greatest support network between friends and family, to 20 for a larger friend networking group, to 150 for associates that you know pretty well, and 1500 for the maximum amount of faces you can even recognize. Now, these aren't static numbers. It doesn't mean you can only ever recognize 1500 faces. It means at any one point of time, there's about 1500 faces you can recognize, and those will shift and change with time, places you move, new jobs, changes in your environment. But I wanted to compare this to the assumptions we make with models of large populations, using Islam as an example here today, since there's just been so much in the way of misunderstanding and honestly Islamophobia, which has really just been taking off across America and a lot of the West. And so I wanted to just point out how really impossible it is to box up such a large population in a set of assumptions. We really just cannot know so much about a group of people. And I think the Dunbar number illustrates this. If we have a limit of 1500 faces that we can even recognize, how do we take that ability to make any comparable recognition of people, of their traits, and then jump to making assumptions about a religion that makes up 23.2% of the world's population? That's 1.7 billion people. If you took everyone you could possibly recognize, and they took everyone they could possibly recognize, and by some miracle, none of those people are the same, they're all different, you would only come up to 2,250,000 people that are recognized in this group of everyone you could possibly recognize and everyone they could possibly recognize. That's not even the population of Muslims living in the United States. Islam represents 1% of the American population for 3.2 million people. If you took everyone you could know, and they took everyone they could know, we'd only make up 2/3 of the American population. In fact, we would need to take 755 strangers from around the world, took everyone they could possibly know, and then everyone those people can possibly know, in order to reach the 1.7 billion people that make up Islam. That 1.7 billion is just a symbol to the brain. We cannot understand it. And just like we cannot understand that many people, we cannot understand Islam through any form of models or any assumptions that 1.7 billion people would ever act the way that we assume they will act based off of random acts of violence around the world, based off of the limited amount of news we've had that highlights the violent and the negative rather than positive outreaches from the Islamic community, based off of any negative personal experiences we might have, or, as is most often the case, a complete lack of personal experiences when interacting with cultures that we throw into a box in our models, and the shaping of our expectations of those people based on cultural resources and based on news and media and politicians and other forms of information, oftentimes pretty misleading. It's really cognitively impossible to understand the entire Islamic population. And if we start to look at the fact that there's at least 40 different sects of Islam, just like there's hundreds of denominations of Christianity, we couldn't understand the theologies of even those 40 sects and the variations that occur there. And then, at a deeper level, people don't fully follow all the tenets of their sects. People make exceptions to the rules. I come from a conservative family, a conservative Christian family. Homosexuality isn't at the top of their list of things to do. When I came out as queer, I expected to get disowned, but I didn't. They still love me, they still interact with me. They made exceptions to what otherwise they would have thought of as firm beliefs. People do this all the time, all across the world. When you read something that says Islam is like this, first off, there are 40 different versions of what that is. At least, just in official sects. And then, every one of those sects is made up of individual members. You go to one mosque, just like you go to one church, and you're going to have a variety of people who follow in a variety of different ways. There are more conservative cultures, just like there are more conservative cultures in any other religion, just like there's more conservative cultures amongst atheists and more liberal cultures amongst atheists. The point is, there is a range. There is always a range. And when we allow our brain, which likes to operate in models, to say that a population of 1.7 billion people is like this, we're simply making a false statement. I know I'm trying to challenge myself, and I'd like to challenge you to challenge your models. An easy experiment of this would be to go through your Facebook tonight or whenever you have time. Try to see how many people you recognize. Try to remember when you met them. Try to remember where you met them. Try to remember some facts about them, important conversations you've had, important events in their lives. What do you know about their morals? What do you know about them as people? How do you expect them to interact with the world? How many people can you really know, given the fact that you've interacted with them? Now take whatever number that is, whatever number you come up with, and see how many times you have to multiply it to come to 1.7 billion people. I'd like to challenge you to be okay in accepting that we're ignorant. We can't possibly understand a population that large. There's no way to contain it and say it's like this or it's like that. Other than saying that they call themselves Muslim or that I call myself queer or that other people call themselves Christian, there's no way to contain that group in all the diversity within it. So I'd like to just leave you with that. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's accept the fact that we can't understand it all. And let's realize that anytime we say Muslim or Christian or atheist or Democrats, Republicans, communists, we don't fully understand the diversity in a population that large. Neither can we. We simply cannot cognitively understand it. We don't have the capacity. I hope this is able to settle and sink in and resonate. And I thank you for listening.